Hi, this is Kotlin Conversations. We're a little off script right now, but I'm Quinto Dow, and I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with
Kirill.
CEO of JetBrains. Kirill, thank you so much. So,
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
so hopefully a lot of folks saw you this morning giving the keynote. You're relatively new as the CEO,
Yeah.
but you're not a new face to JetBrains
Yes.
at all.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your history with JetBrains?
Definitely. So I joined the company in 2010. Oh my gosh, it's 15 years ago.
Yeah, 15 years ago. I know.
And I joined it as junior developer.
Yeah.
I joined ReSharper team. And back then, ReSharper was one of the most successful businesses inside JetBrains. I remember a couple of years where ReSharper even surpassed IntelliJ IDEA. It was,
Really?
yeah, it was so important for the company. It was so successful. And then I quickly became like one of the principal engineers in ReSharper. So I was really quite good. I coded a lot. Yeah, I was the one who invented search everywhere feature in ReSharper, and then Kosti Bulenkov took it to IntelliJ IDEA, and now it's like a commodity.
Oh, really? So I have you to thank for Search Everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's like I created the concept back in 2011, I guess, in the early 2011. Yeah, we also found a small product called .peak. It's a decompiler for .NET assemblies. Yeah, and long story short, like in 2014, it was obvious that we gotta start a new .NET IDE and compete with Visual Studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like big Visual Studio, not VS Code.
Yeah.
Itself. And I began a new venture. I was the first team lead and the founder of this internal startup. We call it Rider. And this is one of the most successful IDEs at JetBrains. It's still rapidly growing. It is a great product. I'm really fond of it.
I used to be a C# developer ages ago, and I'm so sad because I switched from C# to some other tech stack. I think a web app service before ReSharper was a thing, because I think that the tooling was okay. It's nothing wrong with Visual Code, but but it was okay. But I'm very sad that I never got to really enjoy ReSharper. But yeah, please, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then we introduced Rider, which was a cross-platform .NET IDE, and then it was adopted rapidly by game developers, because you write like Unity scripts with C#, you write Unreal Engine scripts with C++, and we could do all of that in Rider. It was quite an amazing journey. I led the whole team, the whole business, everything. And then I think it was 2018. It was obvious for us that we got to do something with remote development and code with me, with collaborative editing.
Yeah.
And I think in 2020, it was the year of pandemic hit, right?
Yeah.
So the question of collaborative editing, collaborative work was like very, very intense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I delivered code with me like within a year and a half or something with a small team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was again really intense. And then I was trusted to lead the whole IntelliJ department, which is basically all of our IDs, like the core business unit. And I led it for 2 years. I led around 700 people by that time, third of the company. And yes, and a year ago I became the CEO. So now I'm running the whole company.
I have to admit, one of the things I love about JetBrains and the tools is that, we can tell, it's easy to tell as someone from the outside how much this company loves engineering. And I have to say, just on a personal note, that it makes sense to me that a company that makes such well-loved tools has now has an engineer as a CEO. So I appreciate that. I have to admit though, and I was saying this a little bit earlier before the camera started rolling, that I love my job as an engineer, and I'm more of like the icy type. I'm not a manager type. What is it? I don't know. I think it's amazing that you could go from, again, as a junior developer all the way up to CEO. What is that? I don't know. What is the difference in your day to day? I don't know. What was that transition like for you to going from just development to leadership, road mapping and vision? I don't know. How do you even get to that point where you're like, okay, I'll be CEO?
Honestly, less and less coding, more and more meetings.
Yeah.
But I think that it's like the more people you lead, the higher level of hierarchy you run, the more strategic high level and some in some sort processes questions you are answering, you're trying to solve. So when you're leading a team of writer, not an IC, like a team of writer, you're now focused on a strategy, marketing, engineering management, on top of all this stuff. This is understandable. When you're leading a group of projects, you're now thinking about markets, intersection of markets, and engineering management of 700 people is totally different. So when you have under 120, 130 people, you still can recognize all of them. After this threshold, you have to have some processes or at least some practices, whatever. And yes, JetBrains is very engineering-driven organization, as I said on the keynote. But still, you gotta be somehow organized, you know, because we have 2,600 people. Like that's a lot. So the more people you lead, the more you think about how to organize people on a larger scale. And of course, the thing which is controversial is that direct impact you have with your own hands is not so evident to you. And the amount of time that should be passed after you will get this impact is much longer, because all of your ideas, strategic thoughts, they should come over through all the hires, all the levels, you know? So I think this is the most controversial part, and this is why not all the people, thankfully, want to be like the managers and leaders, and this is totally, absolutely great. Because, sometimes even I miss my job as an IC, because, you know, you write the code, you write the feature, and then here in the booth at the conference, people are like hugging you and saying,
thank you.
dude, thank you so much for this feature. This is amazing. Like with Search Everywhere, like we had
thank
this.
you.
Right, you see? And when you're doing something as the CEO, it's not so evident. It's not so obvious.
And it is, I have to imagine that must be a challenge, because I think part of it, and it's, you know, we've been talking to a lot of people today at the conference, and, you know, we asked them, well, what do you like about Kotlin? What do you like about JetBrains? What do you like about KotlinConf? And it is such a very consistent, the community and the engineering, like people come here to be engineers, to connect, to gain knowledge, to ask questions. And that engagement is so wonderful and special, I think. And it's so consistent. I wish I could play for you right now a montage of literally every single person was just like, no, it's great. Like, we love the community, we love the engagement, and of course, like it's wonderful to see JetBrains grow and like grow as a company. How do you address the challenge of maintaining that? Because as you said, you know, like as you scale up, it's that idea of like, you know, having to be able to manage like hundreds of people rather than dozens of people. What is the challenge, or how are you addressing the challenge of keeping this culture where you seem so connected with not just each other as engineers at the company, but the community? How are you approaching that challenge just as everything grows bigger and like the reach of JetBrains gets wider?
Yeah, it's a brilliant question. I think about it every day. The thing is that it's not just about JetBrains, it's important, but it's also about the external world outside of JetBrains, which is changing so fast, so rapidly. And the thing is that you cannot maintain very, you know, like strict, sturdy corporate vertical organization in today's world. You will not be competitive, because you have to be flexible, you have to be fast, you have to adapt to all these new things. So I believe in the concept of very well organized, but still pirate ship, you know? So how do I do this on the scale of 2,600 employees? Well, we have departments, internal departments, and we have some sort of, you know, federation of these departments. They're really pretty much independent of each other. And they have not so many people. Like maybe some of them have, like Kotlin department is like 150, .NET department is about 120 or something like that. So it's manageable. And they are different. They have their own subculture, their own freedom, their own interesting things. And we try to preserve such a flat federation of these departments instead of build everything very, very consolidating and vertical. And honestly, I think that having too much of consolidation would actually, you know, like suppress creativity, and actually it would not allow us to move faster sometimes. And we see that bottom up things we delivering right now are really paying us off.
Mm-hmm.
So Juni, for example, yeah,
Yeah.
we start on a separately. We started as a separate department. Now
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
department. And like after a year, folks delivered. So, and I have a bunch of other examples we'll release this year, and I'm quite sure you will be really fascinating about that.
I love that. Yeah, no, I mean, I think I love the idea of how do you scale a pirate ship. I think that needs to be like a presentation somewhere.
Maybe it should be a pirate fleet.
No, but I think that's what it is. That you have a fleet. You
Yeah.
have all these little like pirate ships where everyone's going
Right.
off and doing their own little, totally legal, totally ethical pirate things. But I love that. I love that. Well, you said the world's changing, and obviously in the last couple of years, you cannot throw a stone without hitting someone talking about AI, and of course, Juni and all the other efforts at JetBrains. As an engineer and as a CEO, what is your take on the current state of AI in the world? Just generally, like, what's your view on it? Like, where are we at as engineers in AI?
First of all, I think we're in a very exciting moment when we have really tough, interesting, but also fun competition.
Yeah.
And like we had this meeting with OpenAI executive once, when it was clearly said that like even such a leading AI companies as OpenAI are focusing on dev tooling and engineering right now.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we JetBrains with our dev tools are in the center of the world,
Yeah.
which is kind of really fun. I like this. I like the intensity of this moment. But nonetheless, we would see that, like, I mean, maybe a year ago, there were more of the sentiments that we're going to reach AGI.
Yeah.
And more general tools like, ChatGPT can be capable of solving everything.
Yeah.
Come on, folks, you won't need IDEs anymore. Like ChatGPT can do it, everything for you. No, it seems that no. You have to have some sort of dev tooling. You have to have access to distribution. It's much more sophisticated and hard than we thought, which means that the tooling we are notorious for also truly matter to, the technological advancement of the whole humanity. Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
I think this is really cool. So I love to be in the center of this battle, I would say,
Yeah.
of this competition.
Yeah.
And I also love that we JetBrains, we have a very solid leverage here. Like we control roughly half of the market, so we have a lot of, we have more than, actually no, we have 15.6 million active monthly users, real users.
Yeah.
And these numbers are growing. We have awesome technologies. We just released Juni, which is not just, UX, UI surface on top of other, agents and models.
Yeah.
This is our technology. It's very complicated scaffolding on top of LLM, produce our own models. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that in the next 1, 2, 3 years, what we will see is AI and AI agents. Speaking about dev tooling and software engineering, I think that AI will be infecting more and more. May I say infect?
Infecting, no.
Yeah, more and more of these software development pipeline pieces.
Yeah.
So it's not just about IDE and editor. It will be integrated into CI/CD, into cloud orchestration, into PR verifying tools, into much more than that. So we will have deploying agents. We'll have no-code solutions, which means that the whole, I call it software development arc, from idea to production, this whole arc will be disrupted.
Yeah.
And this is really interesting how. We're not yet sure how, but I love that we in JetBrains can contribute to this.
It's so funny because earlier you said, I was like, well, I wanted to make a joke like, oh, so we're not just going to be, everyone's going to be vibe coding, that there's still a place for tooling and production and all those things. I think one of the things I worry about, and I love your enthusiasm so much, because it's a little bit of an interesting time. Everything is getting disrupted. Things are different. And I guess, like, again, kind of along the lines of like nurturing and, making sure that the good things that we disrupt but still maintain some of the things that make what our job is great. I always wonder about like especially like junior entry level developers right now. And I'm an old I feel like I've been doing this for about 20 years now. I'm an old lady. I feel like, well, I made a lot of mistakes and that's how I learned. How do you think, we can help nurture and teach like the engineering thinking side of the critical thinking side, the problem solving side of engineering while still leveraging, this new world of AI tools and making everyone productive? How can we do that well and not just leave people to vibe code?
Yeah, I think we got to change. Honestly, I think we got to change and evolve the overall IT education system.
Yeah.
So it should be prepared for the capabilities which AI bring to developers. So right now, you probably less focus on algorithmic complexity, computer science, and writing code, but rather than um, the architecture of your system, modules, the readability of all this stuff, and verifying all this stuff. And I do believe that AI, like people are saying that AI will um, get rid of some of the jobs, like we
Yeah.
won't have any of them. I don't think so. I think we will be using AI as a helper, even for junior developers.
Yeah.
Even for junior developers, this is important. So I believe that on top of all the developers which we are having, we'll have the new segment of creators, let's say. This is what Satya Nadella calls like, we want to have like 1 billion of GitHub creators. Obviously, this 1 billion creators, they should not be, obliged to know computer science anymore, but they can still do like no code or low code creation. So I think we have to integrate all this agentic tooling, all this new stuff we had into educational pipelines. And yes, focus more on the modern software development process. Right now we read and verify more,
Yeah.
we create more, and we're less focused on writing the code itself. So I think we should adapt correspondingly.
That makes sense. I mean, people used to write codes on punch cards and now, or read assembly, and now we're at higher levels.
Yeah,
So maybe it's
good
just an
point.
expansion of that.
Yeah.
So we're here at KotlinConf. So I wanted to ask you about any particular things with JetBrains and the intersection of, again, I'm very boring. I love Kotlin. I want to keep talking about Kotlin along with AI. So are there any interesting intersections of Kotlin and AI that you're really interested in, or what are you working on that you can tell us about that, you're super excited about, especially?
I would love to talk about that. So I have a very, very simple visionary example. So
Okay.
here's my vision.
I love it.
Yeah. So I have my mom, and she wants to have an application which tracks that she eats a fish like 3 times per week.
Okay.
Like, for example.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And her husband, my father, eats meat like 2 times or whatever, like drinks milk like 2 times per week. And there is no application in the marketplace right now for that. It should be custom tailored. And she also has a tablet which is hanging on her fridge, and she would like to deploy this application on her phone, on this tablet, and on her husband's phone. Simple as that. And she wants to do this with just typing English. Of course, she doesn't know like computer science, right? So all of that can be doable with combination of Kotlin Multiplatform and Juni right now, because we can target all the platforms and we can do this low to no coding. And this is exactly what I mean by saying that we unfold the new creators market. Then like the people like my mother are right now creating real apps. But more important is that it's not just about creating a single app. It's about evolving app. Like in a month after she created an app, she decided to learn French. And she's saying, okay, let everything should be written in French there. Here you go. You can evolve an application, have your own personalized application, custom tailored for you with this power. And this is what all the applications in the App Store are lacking right now. And I think KMP plus Juni is just the most greatest and smoothest way how to get there.
Yeah.
We have Kotlin multi-platform as a technology. We have Juni to generate Kotlin code. Here you go. And yes, we're working on it. So stay tuned.
I actually never thought of that before, and especially as an application developer myself, I love my job, and I think the connection with human people, with just hey, like the work that I do ends up literally in someone's hands, but that it's limited, as you said. Like we cannot customize, and as many features requests or many as we get bug requests, we get feature requests, we get complaints, and because of the way structure in which we do things now, there's only a finite amount of those things that we can do, finite amount of customization, finite amount of time to do these things. And yeah, that would actually be really nice if we could allow people the ability, because it's just not physically possible for us to address every single user's needs. So I like that idea very much, actually, to empower people and like, just giving people tools to do what they need to do.
Yeah, and I also think even further, I think it will be evolving to what's so-called live applications. So right now, like we used to have all this, that application, whatever you call it, like, this is like a binary and it works as it
Yeah.
works. But in the future, I think the application will be, all of the application will be like agentic and live,
Hmm.
and they will get evolved constantly by themselves. So in my example, this app would be also living and adjusting and understanding, oh, here are holidays, and here we have, I don't know, like some sort of a trip to the Netherlands for a month, so skip it and all this stuff,
Yeah.
by itself.
Hmm.
And again, this will be done by some sort of agents which work by themselves somewhere there in the cloud.
Hmm. It feels like what we really need to do. And as someone who's been doing this for 20 years and find myself, being a little old lady about it, being a Luddite sometimes, but it's just how it is. What advice would you give for, especially like new engineers now, but even for me, someone like maybe who is a little like hesitant or afraid, what advice would you give them to prepare for this new world that's coming up, for this new kind of maybe way of working and thinking? Like, what advice would you give?
So I think that the new generation of developers, they should first of all embrace all of this technological advancement.
Hmm.
Don't be fear of it. Like take it and be the best ones who you actually use and leverage this tooling.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, I would also advise to be competent in the basics, because this is the thing which will make you, if I may say, more proficient on the market, because if a person is not just using AI agents properly, but also understands what is under the hood,
Hmm.
I think this would be a huge, huge win for this person to get more and more, to get better job, to get more interesting, more complicated and impactful tasks.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think doing both things.
Hmm.
It's not just about being like a Luddite and say, no, AI is not for us.
Yeah.
I will do only computer science, algorithm, all this, and not vice versa. Like
Yeah.
I'll delegate everything to AI,
Mm.
and I don't give a heck about like what is Kotlin code. No,
Mhm.
it will be better to know both.
Yeah. No, I think it's just like any other answer. It's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
always somewhere in the middle, like taking a little bit of what the old thing was, the old being like, I guess what we're doing now, to like the future, and then finding that happy path in the middle and taking the best of both. I like that very much.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any like, have you gotten any surprising feedback as of yet with any of like the AI kind of efforts at JetBrains? Like anything that just really stands out to you as feedback, or just comments that you've gotten?
Some surprising feedback.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share one positive and one kind of negative one,
Okay.
which surprised me. I
This is
think it
very
would be
fast.
interesting.
Yeah.
So the positive is, honestly, the amount of positive feedback we're getting from Juni is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's truly magical. Like people
Yeah.
are loving it a lot. And it's just not about some particular feedback, but about the amount of such positive feedback from all around the world.
Yeah.
And speaking of a negative one, I think it was a year ago when we roll out a local code completion model,
Mm-hmm.
which is only 100 million, not billion, million parameters. It's very, very tiny model
Okay.
because it is local. It
Yeah.
operates on a developer's machine, but it's really, really fast. We use it to do full line code completion,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually a cool feature because you do not send anything
Mm-hmm.
and you still got line after line of code completion. I think this is a great feature. But even for such a feature, we got complaint from one of the customer, and they were saying like, well, and what is the data set you are training this from? Like, and what is like the liability of this model, all of this stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it's just 100 million parameters and it runs locally, it doesn't
Yeah.
send anything.
Yeah.
So it tells us how diverse is the world. On one hand, you have people which are so excited about Juni,
Yeah.
and would generate, I don't know, like hundreds of files with just one prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, you have corporations and organizations which are actually quite disappointed about 100 million parameters local model. You have to deal with it.
These more. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what I mentioned in my keynote, that this is why we respect all of the segments of developers and we target all of them and we create best tools for all of them. We respect that there are different, level of AI adoption among the industry.
Has it, I mean, all of this going on and like especially this move towards, trying to leverage the power of AI and just like the way that the world's changing and the way that's going to change how we work. Does it change how you approach the development, like kind of like almost going backwards, like we use Kotlin now to like Kotlin and Juni together to create things. How has AI maybe shaped or influenced how JetBrains makes its ultimate? How does it like influence the development of Kotlin and other tools like that?
It influencing the development Kotlin a lot because we constantly thinking about the place of Kotlin is this new changing development ecosystem. Because what is changing is not just AI for IDEs, for editors. The whole dev stack is being changed.
Yeah.
And we see that we're getting, I don't know, like new Kubernetes, new Kafka, new whatever other things we have during the, among the application stack. We see that Kubernetes is a great for orchestrating microservices. We have we're having everywhere, but it's not very handy to orchestrating agents. And we see more and more startups with saying, hey, this is a new Kubernetes, but for agents,
Yeah.
and all sort of stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And these changes how the industry is building and running software. And in this regards, Kotlin should also be thinking about its place in this world. So for instance, just one of the conversation we had with the folks here at KotlinConf, if AI generates all the code, then maybe it makes sense to store not just code anymore, but some sort of design doc, like not just a prompt, but design doc in English, maybe on some sort of intermediate language between English and Kotlin, maybe Kotlin DSL, I don't know. Yeah, right. And then you can take this design doc, structured design doc, you can transfer it to Kotlin code, generate the Kotlin code on top of it with power of AI agents. But to do so, Kotlin should be capable, right? And this is a strategy for Kotlin. So here comes KMP. So you should target all the platforms.
Right.
So AI agents should be generating high quality, up-to-date Kotlin code. And this is why you have to collaborate with industrial LLMs providers like Anthropic, Amazon, Google, OpenAI. We have to build our own models. So all these things, come up when you think about such things. So yeah, I think understanding our place in this changing dev stack is a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think our time is wrapping up. Kirill, thank you so much for taking time. It's just so wonderful to chat with you, and thank you for making us available just to get to know you because you're relatively new as a CEO.
Thank you. Likewise, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I don't know what's next for you all, but please enjoy it from KotlinConf.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye.